Today we have Mason Dingwall on the show. Went to the University of Queens and did the phys ed course there, and then went to the prestigious Gary Roberts Performance Center. Worked there for a year.
Just a summer internship. So it was about like 4 months in the summertime.
Did the internship and then came back to Ottawa, and it has now been coaching clients for over 8 years at one of our local partners, Capital Strength Training Systems, just over on Thurston Drive. Me and Mason have known each other for well over 20 years, as I've played rugby with his whole family, his dad, his older brother, and himself. I have played on the field with all of them all at once. So we also have a personal journey together outside of industry and obviously within industry, working with similar clients. One of the reasons why I wanted to bring on Mason is because I see who he works with, and a lot of them are mixed demographics, anywhere from women to teenagers to men to young adults who are lifting weights. We just want to make sure that we continue to communicate with our viewers that, exercise is an important part. And with your experience that you've worked with, right? Because you've worked with all different types of people coming through the door.
Yeah.
I wanted to get some of your experiences, because I'm sure there's some common general kind of aspects of health that you deal with, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm super happy to be on here. Thanks again
Right.
for getting me on here.
How did you get involved with health and fitness? How did you get into the industry?
Well, like you said, I've been playing rugby my whole life, playing hockey, playing all sorts of sports, and wasn't quite good enough to make it to the big show in any of them. So going the strength and conditioning route was a natural path for me to kind of stay in that world of athletics. Health and training has always been a large passion of mine. I started working out on my own probably around 14 outside of the team training that I do. And I started working together at 16 with a little bit of a nutrition program there. So yeah, once I got to Queens, there was the option to get into a strength and conditioning stream. So it was just a natural fit for me to go into that. And then it kind of allowed me, like I said, just to stay in that world of fitness and health, even beyond playing the high level sport that I was in when I was younger.
So basically just naturally organic. You just became obsessed with it. Obviously, I know your whole family's very athletic and very competitive, right, with each other. So
I guess you could say that, yeah.
Right. So you just got into it organically. In terms of the clients that you work with, what are some of the things that they come into you and discuss with you in terms of some of the things they're afraid of when it comes to lifting weights, right? So what are some of the misconceptions that you hear? And after working with them for a year, they are just blown away about what they heard in the media to what actually happened in real life. What would be one or two of those conceptions that you've actually helped someone through?
One of the issues that some people often come in with is that they just have a problem with the commitment to their workouts. People will see things on social media and think that they have to do these very intensive, large workouts, complicated exercises. But often I tell my clients that they're having issues with that it's just good to start small and just commit yourself to workouts that are achievable. Say a 60-minute workout at the gym sounds pretty daunting to you. Just start small, whether it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the gym, just get the ball rolling. And once your confidence is greater in the gym, we can increase that, whether it's together or if they're on their own doing a program at another gym. Start small, especially in the new year when people are trying to hit new goals right now that haven't been in the gym before. I think that, trying to get their head around these large workouts isn't always the best idea, and it usually leads to fall off in terms of commitment. So just starting small with some training is usually a good idea for that side of things.
I have that discussion in my office all the time. People saying to me, Harry, what's the best workout? I'm like, to be honest, it could be 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, 10 body weight squats. Like, let's just start there. Let's just get it into your schedule, get you feeling better.
Exactly. Sometimes I also talk to them about the lack of motivation, and you just got to get your butt to the gym. And like, even if you only commit yourself to, doing, okay, I'm going to do 3 exercises, it's going to take me 20 minutes. Then, once you start to get the workout underway, maybe then you go, okay, well, I'm already here. Maybe I'll stay a little bit longer. And then the ball kind of starts to get rolling.
The commitment is just getting, I think in Atomic Habits, he talks about that. Just even putting your clothes out at night. Do you know what I mean? And just being like, I'm going to do my 10 push-ups, or I'm going to go to the gym and just be there for 10 minutes and get accustomed to it. So basically it's kind of like what you're saying is progression, right? Don't think about that it has to be this big elaborate, like we have that conversation with clients all the time. And I was one of those believers as well, that I'm like, well, if I'm not going to work out and lift weights and do it for 30, 40 minutes, what's the point? It's a waste of time.
Better than nothing.
Exactly. Fast forward, I think about 5 years ago, I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. So every day I do something, whether it's a walk, push-ups. And my wife said within 6 months, my body composition, my mood, and I just noticed like joint pain and pain management went down decreasingly. And sometimes it would just be going downstairs, like, okay, I got 5 minutes. I'm going to do as many burpees as I can. And that would be it for the day. And it was such a great feeling. But, and I think what you're saying is true, is that once you get there, the energy levels are going to be better and you're going to feel it. And then you'll get addicted to that. Right. So but don't make it a complicated workout. And I think that the general theme from the past trainers we've had on is they said that it could be just a 10-minute workout, 10-minute walk. Right.
Just get something in. Yeah. Just get something in. And that way you start to feel better about yourself, because if you set these extremely large goals right off the bat and then you're not able to hit them, you kind of, are feeling defeated, and it kind of leads to you then essentially just the drop off of the training. So set attainable goals early on and crush those. And then, once you've gotten there, then you can set larger goals and build on from there.
Right. And so what are some other misconceptions? So that's in terms of the elaborateness. And I think that we can all agree that people they think it has to be complicated more than ever. And I think same thing they do in nutrition. What are some nutritional questions that clients have asked you and you've given them some advice? Right. I know you're a strength coach, but I mean, you're in the front line of speaking to people 3 times a week. Right. And so, there's obviously going to be misconceptions around nutrition as well. What are some things, again, that you've made a simple recommendation to, and they've come back to you and said, wow, I can't believe that everything I've read or all my doctors or all my friends have told me that's bad, but I actually did it and it actually gave me amazing results. What would you say are 1 or 2 things that you've recommended nutritionally that clients have come back to you and said, amazing?
And some of this obviously is learned from our years of working together, but I would say that, training alone is, might not allow you to achieve your ideal body type. So someone will say, I've been working out 3 days a week and I still feel like I don't look the way that I want to, body composition wise. And something that I always like to say is that you can't out train a bad diet. So, it takes you about an hour and a half to 2 hours of an intense workout to burn 1,000 calories, but you can eat 1,000 calories in like 2 minutes. So it's like, if you are training and doing all this stuff, it gets thrown out the window in terms of body comp. Like obviously you can get stronger and feel better in certain ways, but if we're talking strictly body composition and how you look in the mirror and how you want to look, like I said, you can't out train a bad diet. It's very challenging on yourself to do that.
So you're saying that when it comes to, and I think we can all agree that body comp thing I remind clients about is body composition change is like almost like a 24-hour job, right? Because the food prep, the food organization, the washing, the groceries, even finding time to eat is a big issue. And so you're saying that, so when it comes to some of the misconceptions you've seen is, people just think it's like, oh, I can eat whatever I want because I'm working out.
Exactly.
My body's going to change. Now,
the way that I usually propose that they approach that, and this is what we did together, back in the day, was just try to eat whole foods, try not to eat anything processed, and also, prioritize your protein in your diet. They say roughly a gram of protein per pound of body weight, just something generally in that range. And usually if you keep the protein high, it keeps you more satiated. At least that's sort of how I find with myself. And it avoids me from snacking and doing other things on the side. But those are the 2 things that I'll give them. Like I know that you preach with your clients as well, is I tell them to make like sustainable changes. Like you don't want to change something that's so aggressive that like you can only do it for about 2 to 3 weeks, like a diet that's very, very intense, because then you're just going to fall off the diet. Just like we said with the starting small with the workouts, it's just making those small changes and things that you can keep as a lifestyle and not something that you're only going to do for a month, tops.
So when it comes to like protein, can you give us some of your favorite sources of protein that you use, right? Because what we want to hear is, there's obviously different types of protein out there, and you're a pretty lean, jacked guy, right? Like you're in good shape. No, but it's true. A lot of our viewers be like, hey, Mason's in good shape. I would like to know, what does he actually eat for protein? right? And
Hmm.
so what are some of the sources of protein that you use on a daily basis? And roughly, do you weigh, do you measure? How would you figure out your protein content? What are the tips and tricks that you use for yourself to make sure you get the right amount of protein? So why don't you give us like 3 or 4 sources of protein that you use?
The morning, like a typical breakfast for me will just, be about, 4 or 5 eggs. I switch up how I cook them. Sometimes I get bored of scrambled. I'll do fried egg or something like that. I'll just pair that up with some fruit in the morning. I don't like to have carbs in the morning for breakfast, at least outside of the fruit. I find it makes me feel lethargic. So I keep the
Just to
high
stop you
protein in
there.
the morning.
So starch,
Yep.
you're saying that when you eat starch for breakfast, right? So like a
Hmm.
rice, a potato, a oatmeal, right? Because we don't want to say carbs because then people are going to like the fruit. So
Yes.
you,
Yes.
you,
Sorry. Yes, not carbs. If I eat something like if I eat bread in the morning for
gotcha.
breakfast, something like that, or bagel or something, which is I know a typical food to eat in the morning, find that leaves me feeling lethargic. So I keep it, like I said, with the whole foods. I'll have just my eggs in the morning, and then the fruit as well. I guess, which obviously, of course, is a carb and has some sugars in it.
Yeah.
But find that combination leaves me feeling energized in the morning. Around lunchtime, it could be just any combination of, for the meats, it could be, I like to do pork tenderloin, something that's a little bit leaner. I'll do ground beef, chicken, and all of these are all, it's like fresh meat. It's not anything processed, of course. And I'll pair that up with some vegetables, and then that's where I'll throw my starches in as well, whether it's potatoes or rice. I do find when we did our diet together, we tried to stay away from things like pasta. And, it's not that you can't ever eat those things. And I do eat those things. They are mixed into my diet every now and then. But I do feel like those, for me personally, anyways, those more processed wheat foods do leave me feeling more bloated and, like, again, lethargic. Whereas I don't get that with my rice and my potatoes. So I usually try to stick to those more often. Dinner time usually looks at the same. I can eat the same thing for, a couple of days. It doesn't bother me too much. And
Yeah.
that's unfortunately the truth, I think, of trying to stay, to a healthy diet, is trying to get used to a bit more of a monotony. And you can change up the spices and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll eat the same thing for dinner. And whether it's maybe I'm going to treat myself, I'll do a steak. But again, it's usually just, chicken, pork chops, ground beef.
And so how would you figure out your portion? So do you use a hand? Do you use a food scale? Do you use
Yeah.
a cup, a
So
Tupperware? What is it? How do you figure that out? A plate? Do you just say, I'd like to have half my plate? What's your style that you use?
right. So I actually don't count my calories. I kind of just go based off of how I'm feeling, which I know isn't maybe necessarily the easiest thing to convey to somebody. I would usually eat in the morning. It's easy to do the eggs because you can see the protein on there. And like I said, I try to do the 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So these days I'm around 180, 185. Kind of essentially look at that through what I'm eating. So I'll do, the 4 to 5 eggs in the morning. I'll do essentially like a large, if I'm doing chicken breast, just to keep it simple, like a large chicken breast at lunch. And then I'll do, I kind of break it up into 4 meals throughout the day. I'll have a dinner, which again will be probably a whole chicken breast. And then later at nighttime, if I'm still hungry, I'll do an additional like small meal, maybe not quite so big before bed,
Yeah.
but maybe say half a chicken breast for a meal. If it's chicken thighs, it's different. I'll usually try to go skinless, boneless. That's obviously different. I guess it would be closer to maybe like 4 of those if I'm doing a large meal, and if I
Gotcha.
have a smaller meal, maybe 2 of those.
And so do you eat 3 core meals a day or do you eat 4?
I try to eat 4. It really depends on the day. Sometimes I'm on the floor coaching for, it might be like I might be coaching for 7 hours in a row and I don't have the time to sit down. And so those days it ends up being 3 larger meals just because I don't have that,
The flexibility
ability
in
to
your
sit.
schedule.
Yeah, I can't sit down for more than, 2 minutes to eat a meal, which, isn't unfortunately enough time. So those are the days where for me, I try to have like a healthy snack to mix in between the meals. And I usually do, these days I've been eating Costco nut clusters. I just find it's a good little kind of nutritious snack to kind of throw in. But I try my best to not snack throughout the day and then keep it to the meals, as per things that we've worked on in the past.
And for you, you're moving too, right? Like when you're out there for 7 hours, it's
Yes.
when you talk about having a snack, it's because you're
Mhm.
moving, right? Whereas someone who's
Yeah.
sitting at their desk, if they're stuck in meetings, probably don't need that snack as much because
No.
and because I want to tie
Yeah.
into that, what you said is that you don't snack a lot. So
Mhm.
what are some of the reasons to why you don't snack a lot? Like, what have you noticed for yourself that why you don't like to snack? Because that is a common question I'm sure you get. What's a healthy snack? I say
Mhm.
a meal, right? Like
Yeah,
make sure that you're
exactly.
trying to like have a protein, a vegetable, or a fruit or starch. Like just make it a mini
For
meal,
sure.
right? So what are
Yeah.
some of the reasons why you don't snack?
It delays me from eating, like, a meal, which I know is where you get all your nutrients from and the protein. I find snacking never really feels like makes you feel satisfied, essentially. I only do it when I need some fuel, like, if I'm feeling like I've been literally coaching, like you said, on my feet for about, 6, 7 hours. I'm starting to feel faint, like I need to eat something, so I'll throw that down. But outside of that, yeah, I find it just doesn't really contribute to anything nutrition-wise, unless, like, you have a high protein snack. It kind of just eats away into that meal that you would have, so I'm not sure if that's making sense.
No,
Um,
what you're saying is that you don't
yeah.
feel satisfied after, right? After eating
Yes,
it, it kind of
exactly.
sparks your eating. I always tell people snack, cheat, right? You're just like, give me a
Mhm.
handful of nuts, give me half a protein bar, and then you walk into the kitchen and you're just starving and you eat everything. Whereas
Yeah,
sometimes
exactly.
sometimes just practicing being like, okay, I'm hungry, but I'm gonna be okay. And then in 5 hours, I'm gonna get to the meal that I know is gonna provide me with the most amount of nutrients that I need. And if I eat
Mhm,
something now, it might spark my appetite or make me hungry or make my stomach
mhm.
feel upset. And then the next thing you know, now your appetite is off for the meal that you need. So yeah, no, that's great. You said something that I really wanted to tie into that you said, I eat protein and fruit for breakfast because I feel better. And then you made another comment about when you eat things like gluten that you feel bloated and a little bit lethargic. I want to ask you
Mhm.
what did you do to figure that out? Because I think that a lot of clients go through that where they're like, I don't feel well after that food, but they think that, we're told that, oh, it'd be a little bit gassy, a little bit bloating and tired after eating. That's normal. That comes with age, or that's just maybe your diet. How did you make that connection to yourself? Like, what were some of the things that you did to figure that out?
Yeah, I don't know if it comes with the line of work, but just like I feel, you try to like listen to your body when your things are happening throughout the day. So if I have a time where like, I'm feeling great for some reason, I have lots of energy. I try to think back to, what did I do this morning? What did I eat? How much did I sleep last night? Or how much water did I drink? I just think back to the things that possibly had made me feel that way and take note of those. And then conversely, in the other direction, if I'm not feeling good and I'm feeling lethargic, I think back to, okay, what did like I retrace my steps? What have I done this morning, or what have I done earlier this day that's made me feel this way? Trying to, body hacking and trying to figure out the best way to give myself energy and try to give myself the best foot forward. So yeah, like I said, I just think back. If whenever I'm having a good day, I'll think back to things that I did. Okay, and make note of those. And when I feel crappy, I'll do the same.
So that's how you, I'm gonna guess, figured out your diet, right? Is you when
Yes.
you say to me you eat pork, you eat this, you kind of eat the same thing over again. Is it
Hmm.
it sounds like it's more because you feel good, right? It's
Hmm.
like there's
Hmm.
sure there's gonna be emotion around food, and you told us you have that 10 to 15% of, you have the pastas, you have the fun food, let's call them.
For sure, everyone has that.
But you also have figured out your diet for how you
Mhm.
eat is how you feel better, and that's gonna be different for each individual, but you just figured out some things for yourself, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Right, so that's great. I love hearing those stories because I find that people will come in and say, "Oh, well, my friend told me to eat quinoa, but every time I eat it, I get diarrhea," but they keep eating it. It's like, no, it's
Because people tell
okay.
me it's supposed to be good for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay that that doesn't work for you, and I'm sure you see that in the gym. It's like, you
Hmm.
might say, everybody says, some person might say barbell squat's the best. Then you work with three people and they're like, they can't even get their shoulder around the bar and they're going to injure
Yeah.
themselves. But you do like a belt squat or a split squat, they get the same type of
Good
movement
enough.
pattern, but
Yeah.
but they're pain free, right?
Yeah. That's a great comparison.
Right. So that's why I would say it's
Yeah.
like the individual. And I love hearing that story that you figured that out for yourself of like, these are the foods that feel better for me. And this is just how I eat to keep up with your day. Cause your day would start at what, 5 a.m., 6 a.m.?
Not quite there. Yeah, usually 6:30 I'll wake up. I'm more of an evening guy, so
Okay.
sometimes some days I'll work 12 hours from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. within
And,
maybe an hour off in the middle of the day.
and that's pace, right? Like you're in the gym
Yeah.
watching someone's technique. You've got to keep up with their energy, right?
Mhm.
So, which is great.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask you one last question. What are three non-negotiables that you do for your health every day, that you never let them go, no matter what, on a bad day, a good day, a hangover, whatever it is, you do every day? What are those 3 things that you do?
Well, I'll start off with one just because I already talked about it, but just keeping my protein intake high.
Yeah.
That's what leaves me feeling energized throughout the day. So that roughly 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Definitely that. Say for sure keeping my hydration in check. So the 3 to 4 liters of water roughly per day, depending on how much I sweat throughout the day. And these days trying to mix in more electrolytes. I do feel like that if I'm only drinking water, I don't necessarily get all the effects of the hydration. I think we've talked about this in the past. I have issues with retaining my electrolytes, I think, especially when I'm playing rugby. So I find I need to overdo it on the electrolytes, but that's something personally for me. So yeah, the hydration. And then I think that the number one most important thing for overall health and how you feel is sleep. So I would say, like, it's different from person to person how many hours of sleep you need. I know for myself, I need for sure the 8 hours of sleep. These are simple and basic things, but I didn't want to tell you anything that wasn't true. Those 3 things are for sure something that I make sure that I do every day, and because those are the things that leave me feeling good, and that's ultimately the goal. So
It's protein, water, electrolytes,
Mhm.
and sleeping 8 hours. It's funny
Yeah.
because we've had other trainers on, and they kind of say the same thing, right? So Mason, where can everybody find you? And are you taking clients still on for the rest of the year? Do you have spots left for people to come in to join you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Okay.
So they
So
can follow me on Instagram. It's just my first name, last name, Mason Dingwall. We're at Capital Strength, which is just out in the south end, San Laurent Walkley area, just kind of off the highway. Yeah, and we can, I do everything from personal training to semi-private, so small group training, online training, takeaway programs. Well, so if you need any help with any of those things, feel free to reach out.
awesome. Well, I've known you for many years, since you were like back in high school. So like I said, we have lots of clients that go back and forth, and obviously a lot of the guys in the rugby clubs, kids go there and they say nothing but great things. So if you're looking for strength and conditioning coach in the Ottawa South area, definitely give Mason a hit up. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing with us your experience. We always love seeing what you do with our clients. We're happy to be partners with you, because I find that there's a good synergy between nutrition and strength and conditioning, that when they come together, the results are just mind-boggling. So thank you very much, and I will wish you
Definitely.
a good day.